Hey, Taylor.
Hey, Jen.
What are you listening to this week? Welcome to What Are You Listening to This Week, the weekly podcast where we talk about our favorite songs. Some old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by singer-songwriter Taylor Ravenna, whose new album Livermore Terrace, is available now on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, or wherever you stream. This week's episode features some great songs, old and new, plus 3 of my favorite tracks from Taylor herself. So be sure to give the playlist a listen and then tune into our conversation. With that, let's get started. Taylor, what are you listening to this week?
So, I'm listening to 2 songs that I have not been able to get out of my head. The first one is Versions by my dear friend Harrisun.
Amazing, amazing. I listened to this song. I only knew Harrison from the collab that you and he did together, which I included on our playlist for this week. But talk to me about this song. It's so deep. It's so raw. It feels really. That was my note that I wrote for this song. It feels like a raw nerve. It just feels so. It felt so real from the first moment when you hear like this, the guitar intro that lasts for just a second, and then the song kicks in. Tell me about this song. I loved it, and just like I said, raw nerve just kept going through my head the whole time I was listening.
Yes, I love that you say that because I feel like everything that he does is pretty off the cuff and it's a moment and it captures a moment in time in his life. And it's kind of just like you're going through life and you're trying to figure out who you are, where you want to go, but there's all of these other things that are kind of weighing in on you, like people telling you how you need to be, what you need to do, but you're just trying to figure out this version of yourself through this life. And um, I don't know, that line, I hate myself, but I love this version of me. And I think that's a really cool line. And he, he's dealt with a lot. I've dealt with a lot. We've all kind of have dealt with a lot, but, you might hate certain pieces of yourself, but there's always a new version of you that's going to come into play that it's going to take the front seat in a way.
Completely agree. And I love that as we get deeper into the playlist, we chose some love songs, whether they were about self-love or loving somebody else. And I think that one thing that stood out too is, you know what? Sometimes love is dark. It's not always the fairy tale and the princess story that we're presented with. And sometimes getting to self-love is one of the darkest, right? Like it's so hard to figure out who you want to be and be brave enough to embrace that. And so it felt like that was part of the struggle, or at least for me while I was listening, that was what I related to about this song, was like, yeah, he's definitely like going through it. But I love the same line that you called out, which is kind of repeated, but I hate myself, but I like this version of me. And then I also liked the line where he said, I loved a girl I never liked. I'm like, I think we've all kind of been in that situation too, where you find yourself with someone and you're like, hey, wait a minute, like, what am I doing here? I don't even like this person. And sometimes is it you don't like that person because you don't quite like yourself in that moment, or is that person just really like not the right person for you?
Not
And
the
I
person.
think it's what makes it so confusing, but so exciting and so great all at the same time. It's just that rush of emotion that you feel. And I felt like the song really just said it in a way that I hadn't heard before. And I loved that.
100%. And it's funny that you say that. So that line is actually my other friend, Daniel. So that's Daniel Cullen, who also goes by Ghost Affair. He just wasn't listed on the song, but it's both of them, and we're all really good friends. And just, I introduced both of them. So seeing them create something that cool together was a really cool moment. That's a little
Amazing.
secret.
Well, and I felt like the other songs that I've heard of Harrison's are a little more up tempo. Whether it was "Lovesick," his collab with Guest that I like a lot,
Hmm.
"Terrified of Loving You," his collab with you. This song had a totally different feel to me, and I was kind of there for like the down tempo of it all after hearing some of his more up tempo poppy stuff. So I really like
Hmm.
this song was just different, and I loved it. So definitely. I would encourage listeners to take a deep dive on Harrison. And it's just to be clear so people can find it, it's Harrisun, not Son. So good to know there because his music's definitely worth listening to, whichever up tempo or down tempo mood you might be in.
Definitely.
Tell me about your second song.
Okay, yes. So my second song is Crush by Ethel Cain. And she is somebody who I've been so inspired by recently. And I just kind of recently came across her music. And I just really love her sound, her vocal processing, her lyrics, her vibe. It's extremely raw. I know we were talking about versions being raw, but her music's very raw as well. And she was a preacher's daughter, and she actually came out on her 20th birthday as a transgender woman, which was amazing. And she left the church when she was 16. So she just talks about a lot of the struggles with that, domestic violence, abuse, like just I don't know, just darker topics that I can relate to. But again, like also feel very, very inspired by, and also she has a very nostalgic vibe for me. It kind of brings me back to when I was living in Florida, and she actually lived in Florida for a little bit, so I thought that was really cool too. But yeah, that's a little bit about Ethel Cain.
I again an artist I was not familiar with, but the very first note I took from the first second I heard her voice was that they had a real Sundays feel to me. It felt like the Sundays a
Hmm.
little bit. Like I could hear like wild horses or like just that beautiful ethereal voice. And so I loved that. So when you said it kind of like feels kind of old school, that was the first note that I had was that it feels like the Sundays. And I thought it was super ironic because I read too that she was a pastor's daughter and left the church. I'm like, oh, how funny that she reminds me of the Sundays.
Yep.
But totally did. And maybe one of my favorite lyrics, like in recent memory, is in this song. And I wonder if you'll relate. But I love the line where she wrote, "I owe you a black eye and two kisses. Tell me when you want to
Yes.
come get them." I mean, wow. Like, who hasn't felt that way? Like, I'm going to give you the
Hmm.
black eye first and then the two kisses.
Yep.
I love that she ordered it like that. I just like that line I could listen to over and over. I think it's brilliant.
I do too. I think that was my favorite line in the song as well. And I was just like, wow, amazing. Because like you said, we've all felt like that. And it's just cool when when artists can kind of pull things like that and make really cool lyrics. So,
Yeah, I felt like it was so great. And again, just so raw and beautiful. Like, that's the other thing, too. I just kept writing over and over. Like, it's so ethereal. Her voice is so ethereal. It's so soothing. And I could not get enough of this song. I went back and kind of did a deep dive on Ethel Cain because the whole album, it's on the album called Inbred, the song, which came out on September 16th of last year. And I was just surprised that I hadn't heard more of this music because it's so, so good. So I'm so glad you brought this to the show because I think other people are really going to like it as well.
yeah, she's very, very cool. I'm happy you liked it because it was something recent that I came into. I was like, this could go one of two ways. I don't know. But yeah, that whole album's great. And I also like that line. Sorry, I keep going like in riddles, but I also like the line of his daddy's on death row, but'll say it with his chest though. And it makes me think of this kid who was like, or is bullied or is going through something really deep, but it will stand up for his family and like will stand up for himself and his name. And I think that that's a really cool line as well.
Yeah, agreed. The whole song is just like reading those lyrics. It's one of those that I was so glad the lyrics were available because they're all so good. I just think it's such a well written song. And again, super personal, super raw, just a really great song. So I'm excited for people to dig into Ethel Cain. I think it's so cool and people are really going to like it. And it provided, again, we say this a lot on the show, but we don't share playlists until, maybe 24 hours before we get on the show together. And so whenever I heard the Ethel Cain song, I had already picked my songs. But I was saying one of my first notes, my first song on repeat this week is a song called Give You My Lovin' by Mazzy Star. And that's off the first album, the first Mazzy Star album called She Hangs Brightly, which was released way back in 1990. But I thought that it kind of had the same message as Crush in a way, in that, like, why do we love the baddies? Like I used to always say, like, you could put like a super together, reliable person in front of me and someone that's just like a disaster that likely has one or more chips on their shoulder. And I'm definitely going to go for the latter every single time.
Oh, same. I am the exact same way, and that is exactly why I'm going through a very messy breakup right now. So this resonates so deeply.
Yeah, I was just like, the longing feels the same in both songs to me. And I love Hope Sandoval's voice, who is the lead singer of Mazzy Star. Again, like so ethereal, the same way Ethel Cain's voice was. So I just love that the songs seemed like a really modern version and kind of an old school version of a similar theme, just that longing. Like that's just that word. I wrote that word down a lot too. Just longing is what I got from it. And one of the lines that I love in the Mazzy Star song is, when I see you, I want to kiss you, but I know that ain't right. So I ask if I can hold you. And I don't know if it's the lyric per se or just the way she sings it, but it's just like, oh, it just stabs you in the heart every time you hear it. Like, I just, there's another line where she says, discomfort rouses when I speak of you as if you've been saying something bad about me. And that too, like that's the second line in that song that always just stabs me in the heart, because like there's nothing worse than like you thinking one thing is going on in a relationship and then out in the world, or the other person is having a completely different experience. And so I've loved this song since it came out in 1990. So I'm curious to hear what you thought. Were you able to give this song a listen?
Yes, absolutely. And I love Mazzy Star. And I completely agree with you. The emotion that's behind her voice is very, very present, and you hear her longing, you hear her pain, you hear all of that, and I think that's so beautiful. And one of the lines that stood out to me as well, just kind of parallel to the situation that I'm in right now, is, I know I'm the only one for you, but I know you think that's not true. And this person was always like looking for something better, and it's like, why can't you just see what's in front of you? Like, love me love me back the way that I love you, almost. And this song by Mazzy Star is just so beautiful, and even the instruments are so beautiful. Like the guitar, you hear it crying. And I love that. Like guitar, any sort of guitar, whether it's acoustic, 12 string, electric, whatever it is, that is my favorite instrument. But when it's hooked up and it's an electric, you hear the pain in that, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. And a perfect segue into the second song I've had on repeat this week, Taylor. You could not have set me up any better. Is me kicking it all the way back again. You always have to count on me to take it classic rock for my second track, especially of late, because I've been living between like 1965 and 1985, I feel like, for the second track for the last few weeks. But I've been listening to May This Be Love by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And when you talk about a guitar crying or a guitar speaking, nobody really wields it the way Jimi Hendrix did. I'll shout out Eddie Van Halen here, rest in peace, because I'm also a huge Van Halen fan. But but Jimi Hendrix is definitely the master. And this song, we dealt with some deep, kind of dark issues in the first three songs that we were listening to this week. And this one, I just ended it on kind of a beautiful, lovely note. Like, I love this song. I've loved it since I first heard it as a kid. And I think, again, I'm not sure if this is what Hendrix intended, but I always, in my head, took it that he was calling this woman that he's in love with his waterfall. Like, I don't think he was just referencing waterfalls in it. I really believe like that was his nickname for her. And I'm like, how beautiful to call the person you love a waterfall, you know? What did you think of this one? Was this a song that you were familiar with?
Yes. So my dad loved Jimi Hendrix, and so I've heard some Jimi Hendrix before growing up. But I loved this song as well. Like we talked about the guitar speaking, guitar crying. I do think he was the master of that. So completely in agreement with you. But this is a song because I don't know, for me, like right now my life is in shambles, but this is a song that I know that I could put on and go take a 10-minute walk on my worst day of my life and be put in a good mood after, because you can't help but smile because it's so nice. It's refreshing. It's a refreshing song, and it really emotes positive vibes, and I definitely think that was his intention. And I kind of like how he talks about like being a daydreamer and how you're going to be judged, but whatever, I'm going to do it anyway and don't ever change type of feeling. And I like that. I like that a lot.
Totally. Yeah. This is just an all-time favorite. I have a playlist, like a running playlist that I keep in Spotify that's called Songs That Will Always Be Good. Like no matter what. And like no matter how much time passes, no matter how old I get, like just, and this is consistently on that list. Like just a song that will always be good. Oh, well, I feel like we really we covered a lot of territory here, Taylor. We went from like real deep and dark to like really lovely and peaceful and calming at the end. So we've taken a full journey here today.
We have. It's been fun. It's like a little fever dream in a way.
In a way, it is. Well, Taylor, thanks so much for sharing what you're listening to this week. And remember to check out Taylor's new album, Livermore Terrace, and follow her on TikTok at Taylor Ravenna and Instagram at Taylor Made Ravenna. And just so you get that right as well, it's TaylorRavenna. And to our listeners, join us again next week to find your new favorite song.